The stars above Earth had always looked silent, cold, and unreachable. For centuries, humans could only dream of touching them. But in the year 2479, that dream was no longer just fantasy. Deep in orbit, floating above the blue curve of Earth, the Helios research station prepared for the most dangerous experiment in human history, the first faster-than-light jump. Inside the main control room, glowing lights flickered across giant screens. The hum of engines filled the air. Scientists moved quickly, typing, checking, rechecking. Every heart in the room beat with a mix of fear and pride. Dr. Elena Vega, the lead scientist, stood at the center. Her eyes were sharp, but deep inside, she was nervous. Years of work, sacrifice, and sleepless nights had led to this moment. Humanity was about to break the limit of light itself. Helios 1, this is Control, said a voice over the comms. You are cleared for FTL activation. Aboard the Helios 1 test ship, Captain Aaron Shaw adjusted his seat and smiled faintly. Let's make history, he said, his hands gripping the controls. The countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The ship vanished. No explosion. No trace. Just silence. For 10 long seconds, everyone held their breath. Then, the monitors flashed. Signal detected. The Helios 1 had reappeared 3 light-years away, and somehow returned in less than 2 minutes. Cheers filled the room. It worked. The impossible had become reality. Humanity had achieved FTL travel. Dr. Vega stared at the data. Speed, beyond measurable. Energy output, stable. But one reading bothered her, a strange, constant frequency, like a heartbeat, pulsing from the void itself. Strange interference, one technician said. Vega frowned. Save that data. Don't delete it. Hours later, the Helios 1 docked back at the station. But something was wrong. The ship looked different. Its metal surface shimmered faintly, like it had been melted and reformed. The crew stepped out slowly. Their eyes were wide and unfocused. Captain Shaw, Vega called. Are you all right? He nodded weakly. We made it, document. But, he hesitated. We weren't alone out there. The room went silent. What do you mean? Vega asked. Shaw swallowed hard. When we jumped, it felt like space tore open. We saw shapes. Moving shapes. And then, something looked back at us. Vega tried to calm him, assuming stress or FTL disorientation, but the ship sensors showed something impossible. During the jump, there was a second energy signature. Massive, unidentifiable, and ancient. It had followed their path for 0.2 seconds before disappearing. Vega stared at the readings, her heartbeat loud in her ears. We might have opened something, she whispered. Something that wasn't supposed to open. Hours later, the report reached the United Earth Council. They congratulated the team publicly, calling it the dawn of a new age. But in secret, the data caused panic. The interference signal was spreading through deep space like an echo. Unexplained bursts of radiation appeared across the solar system. The council ordered silence. No one must know, said one general. We continue testing. We can't show fear now. But Dr. Vega wasn't convinced. That night, alone in her lab, she replayed the Helios 1 recordings again and again. In the static, a faint whisper repeated, a voice too deep and slow to be human. It said only 4 words. You broke the silence. She froze, her blood turning cold. Was it real? Or a glitch? She didn't know. But she saved the file anyway and locked it under Level 10 security. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, ancient alien satellites detected the same FTL ripple. In the halls of the Galactic Council, a gathering of civilizations millions of years old, alarms echoed for the first time in centuries. The Council's high speaker, a tall being of light and shadow, rose from his throne. Who has disturbed the hyperspace veil? He demanded. A blue-scaled ambassador replied, the humans, Supreme Speaker. They have built a drive. A deep silence filled the chamber. Someone whispered, "Impossible. They are too young." Another voice said, "If they truly opened that path, the hunters will wake." The high speaker turned toward the stars. "Summon the council. Emergency session. The humans must be stopped before it's too late." Back on Earth, Dr. Vega stared out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, she felt something staring back. A small vibration shook the floor. Helios 1's engines had powered on by themselves. The crew was asleep. The ship's AI was offline. Yet, the FTL drive began to hum again, low and steady, like a heartbeat in the dark. "No," Vega whispered, running to the control panel. The frequency she had recorded earlier was transmitting through the drive's core. A message blinked on the screen. "Connection established." "To what?" she whispered, her fingers trembling. Then the power cut out. The lights went black. For a brief moment, Vega saw something in the dark, a shape standing behind the glass, watching her. It looked almost human, but taller. Then it was gone. When power returned, the ship was silent again, systems normal, no sign of movement. But the screen still showed one final log entry, created not by any human hand. It read, "FTL jump successful, but something followed us." The words repeated over and over, echoing across the system like a warning. Humanity had achieved its greatest dream, but in doing so, it had awakened something waiting in the dark between the stars. And far away, the Council's beacon lit the void, summoning all ancient races to one purpose: decide what to do with the humans before the darkness reached them all. Across the endless void, far from the Milky Way, stood the Celestial Hall, an ancient structure floating in the orbit of a dying blue star. It was not built by hands or machines but carved from space itself by civilizations older than Earth's Sunday. Here sat the Galactic Council, a gathering of species that had watched empires rise and fall for 1 billion years. They were the guardians of cosmic order, sworn to prevent the mistakes that once shattered the early universe. But now, the alarm bells had rung. A signal had reached them, a human FTL signature, raw, unstable, and powerful enough to tear the veil of hyperspace. The hall was filled with murmurs as the great species took their seats. Beings made of crystal light shimmered beside creatures wrapped in armor of living metal. Some communicated through thoughts, others through sound, and a few through the slow shifting of colors across their bodies. At the center, the high speaker, a tall being of pure energy, rose and spoke in a voice that vibrated through the stars. "The humans have done it," he said. "They have broken the light barrier. Without permission. Without understanding." A low growl echoed from the other side of the hall. The voice belonged to Lord Var of the Dravic Dominion, a race of massive reptilian warriors. "I warned you all. The humans are reckless. They create weapons before they understand peace. And now they have torn the veil open." The hall darkened as a hologram appeared above the table, the image of Earth's FTL pulse. It shimmered like a ripple spreading through a pond, but the ripple did not fade. Instead, it pulsed back, stronger, as if something on the other side had noticed. The council fell silent. "What do you see?" asked the high speaker. The archivist, a silver being of data and memory, replied softly, "A returning wave, one that predates the first civilizations. It matches the signature of the Void Hunters." Gasps filled the chamber. The Void Hunters, ancient entities that fed on hyperspace energy. They were said to have destroyed entire galaxies in the old wars before time was measured. For eons, they slept beyond the edges of reality. Only one warning remained from that forgotten age: do not break the silence of the void. The high speaker turned to his council. And now, humans have done just that. Ambassador Reen, a small plant-like being glowing faintly with bioluminescence, raised her voice timidly. "But humans are new to the stars. Perhaps they did not know. They may not understand what danger they've unleashed." Var slammed his clawed fist against the table. "Ignorance does not excuse destruction. The signal is spreading across subspace. If the hunters wake, no one will survive. Not them, not us. The debate grew heated. Some demanded immediate action, destroy Earth before the threat spread further. Others argued for observation. Humans were unpredictable but creative. Their courage and defiance had impressed some alien species in the past. We cannot erase an entire species for curiosity, said Reen softly. They have the spark of something rare. The will to survive, no matter what. Var's eyes glowed red. That same spark once burned entire worlds. The High Speaker raised a hand. Enough. We will observe them, for now. But if their experiments continue, we will act. From the shadows, another voice spoke, deep and calm. It came from a being known as the Watcher, a mysterious entity who had lived since before the Council's founding. You are already too late, the Watcher said. The signal has awakened something. Look. The central sphere of the hall glowed, showing a star map of the Milky Way. Near the Sol system, small distortions appeared, ripples of dark energy, moving slowly but steadily. They are stirring, the Watcher whispered. And they are hungry. A cold silence fell over the chamber. The High Speaker turned to the Council scribes. Send observation fleets to the human territories. No interference yet. If we are to judge them, we must understand them first. Meanwhile, at the outer edge of the galaxy, a small reconnaissance drone from the Council approached Earth's system. It carried advanced cloaking technology, invisible to human sensors. Its mission: observe, record, report. But as it neared the Helios station, something happened. The drone's systems began to flicker. The stars ahead bent slightly, as if space itself was trembling. A dark wave rippled through the void, and the drone's AI spoke its final log before going silent. Signal interference detected, unknown entity approaching. It sees us, the transmission cut. Only static remained. Back in the Council hall, the High Speaker replayed the fragment. The last sound, before the drone vanished, was not static. It was breathing. Slow, heavy breathing. The same frequency that matched the human FTL pulse. The chamber grew colder. It followed their path, said the Watcher. The humans opened the door, and now something walks through it. The High Speaker's voice was grave. Prepare the fleets. If this continues, we may need to burn their world. But Ambassador Reen stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. Burning their world will not stop it. The signal came from the jump, not the planet. Destroying Earth may only anger what's on the other side. Var snarled. Then what do you suggest? That we let them continue? That we pray their ignorance saves us? Reen turned toward the hologram of the Earth system, tiny and fragile among the stars. I suggest we speak to them. Warn them before they make another jump. The High Speaker was silent for a long time. Very well, he said finally. Send a message. But be cautious. If they answer, listen. If they do not, we act. Far away, light years from their council, Earth rotated quietly beneath its blue skies, unaware that ancient eyes were now watching. In the dark of space, the message began its long journey toward humanity, a warning wrapped in static and fear. But before it reached its destination, something else heard it first. A faint whisper echoed through hyperspace, repeating in a voice not human, not alien, but ancient and cold, "We are awake." The morning sun rose quietly over the Earth, but for Dr. Elena Vega, there was no peace. She hadn't slept since the first FTL jump. Her mind replayed every frame of the Helios One data, the strange frequency, the ghostly whisper, and that haunting phrase, "You broke the silence." She had tried to convince herself it was just interference, but the evidence was too strange to ignore. The data patterns were not random. They pulsed like a heartbeat, intelligent and deliberate. As she stood in the observation deck of the Helios research station, staring at the ship that had started it all, her communicator buzzed. "Dr. Vega," said a firm voice, "you are to report to the United Earth Council immediately. Priority level red." Her chest tightened. Priority red was only used for planetary emergencies. Within the hour, Vega was seated in a dark chamber deep beneath Geneva. The United Earth Council gathered around her, military leaders, scientists, politicians. At the head sat Director Holt, a man known for his cold logic. "Dr. Vega," he began, "your FTL test was a success. Humanity now stands at the dawn of interstellar travel." "But," his tone sharpened, "you also brought back something else. What exactly happened out there?" Vega took a slow breath. "Sir, during the jump, the Helios 1 detected an unknown energy signature. It followed our jump path. The crew reported seeing entities inside the hyperspace layer, shapes that moved and watched them." The room grew tense. One general scoffed. "Hallucinations. Jump shock." But Vega shook her head. "No, sir. The readings are real. Whatever we touched, it's active. It's aware of us." Director Holt leaned forward. "And what does that mean?" "It means," Vega said quietly, "we might have opened a door that cannot be closed." The council exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, Holt spoke again. "Your concerns are noted, Doctor. But the technology is too important to abandon. We need to test again, on a larger scale." Vega's eyes widened. "You can't be serious. If we do that, we'll amplify the signal. It might draw them closer." Holt's expression didn't change. "Progress always carries risk. We're proceeding with the second test. You will oversee it." Vega's stomach twisted, but she knew there was no refusing the council. Humanity had waited centuries for this breakthrough. They would not stop now. After the meeting, Vega returned to Helios Station. The engineers were already upgrading the FTL core. The new model, Helios 2, was twice as powerful, designed to open a jump corridor large enough to send a full crew and cargo through hyperspace. As she walked through the corridors, she noticed strange glitches, lights flickering, computers freezing, faint voices echoing through the communication lines. The technicians blamed solar interference, but Vega wasn't so sure. That night, she ran another scan of the FTL logs. Hidden in the background noise was the same pattern, the same pulse. But now, the frequency had changed. It wasn't just a heartbeat. It sounded like words, slow and stretched, almost whispering her name. "Eliina." Her blood ran cold. She immediately shut down the system, but before the screen went dark, a message appeared for less than a second: "We see you." The next day, as preparations for the second jump continued, Vega confided in Captain Aaron Shaw. He had survived the first jump and was one of the few who truly understood what they'd experienced. "I keep seeing them," he admitted quietly. "Not in dreams. In reflections. Every time I look into the FTL core, I feel them watching." Vega nodded grimly. "You're not imagining it. The signal is alive. It's communicating." "Then why are we doing this again?" Shaw asked bitterly. "Because they won't stop us," she replied. "The council wants results. And they think fear is weakness." Shaw sighed. "Then we're all dead." Meanwhile, millions of kilometers away, an invisible probe entered the edge of the solar system. It wasn't human. It belonged to the Galactic Council. The probe was observing silently, its sensors tracking human activity. It sent back reports, massive energy readings, jump field signatures, and finally, something unexpected. A second pulse, identical to the human one, but coming from deep space, moving toward Earth. The probe transmitted the data back to the Council. But as it did, a shadow passed across its sensors. The feed went dark. Its last transmission carried only one sound: breathing. On Earth, the Helios 2 test day arrived. The launch bay buzzed with nervous excitement. Media across the planet broadcasted live, calling it the leap of humanity. Vega stood beside the FTL core, her hands trembling slightly as she checked the final readings. Everything looked perfect, but deep inside, she felt dread. Captain Shaw joined her, his expression grim. "Once we start, there's no turning back," he said. Vega looked at the glowing drive. "There never is." As the countdown began, Vega's console blinked with an incoming signal, unknown source, repeating one message. She read it aloud softly. Do not jump again. It wasn't from the council. The frequency was alien, but the tone, it sounded desperate. Who sent that? She asked, but the system offered no answer. The countdown continued. 10, 9, 8. The FTL drive started to hum, low and steady, the same rhythm she had heard before. Vega's heart raced. Abort! She shouted suddenly. Abort the launch. But it was too late. The drive ignited. Space twisted. The stars outside blurred into streaks of light. And in that instant, every sensor screamed. An enormous mass, unseen, undefined, appeared behind the ship. It wasn't part of space. It was darker than the void itself, like a hole in reality. It followed us, Shaw gasped. It's here. The drive overloaded. The entire station shook violently. Then, silence. The Helios 2 vanished. Earth's skies flickered with strange auroras as energy waves rippled through the atmosphere. In the command center, Vega stared at the empty radar. They were gone. And somewhere, beyond light and matter, something opened its eyes for the first time in millennia. In the depths of hyperspace, a voice spoke, a whisper across the stars. Now we know where you are. The silence after the second jump was worse than any explosion. The Helios 2 had vanished from all radar, leaving only a cloud of distorted energy behind. On Earth, the control room filled with static and confusion. Screens flickered, systems glitched, and then everything went dark. Dr. Elena Vega stood frozen in front of her console. Every instinct told her something terrible had happened. She could feel it in her chest, a deep vibration that wasn't just fear, but something heavier, almost like the echo of a scream trapped inside her mind. Helios 2, do you read? She called out again and again. No answer. The signal was gone. Minutes stretched into hours, and then, suddenly, a faint transmission broke through the static. It was Captain Aaron Shaw's voice, distorted and weak. We made the jump, but it's not right here. Everything's wrong. Vega's breath caught. Aaron, where are you? His reply came slowly, broken by bursts of interference. We're inside it. The stars, they're watching us. Then silence again. Vega tried to stabilize the signal, but all systems overloaded. The power grid on Helios station flickered, as if something unseen was feeding off the energy. For the first time, she wondered if the FTL drive wasn't just a machine, but a door. And maybe something on the other side had now stepped through. Inside the void of hyperspace, the Helios 2 drifted. Outside its hull, the universe looked wrong. There were no stars, no planets, no light. Only shapes moving in the distance, like shadows swimming through fog. The crew whispered among themselves, afraid to look too long at the windows. Captain Shaw sat in the command chair, gripping the armrests so tightly his knuckles turned white. Report, he said, his voice trembling slightly. Where are we? The navigator's eyes darted across the flickering monitors. Coordinates are unstable. It's like space itself doesn't exist here. Every direction leads back to the same point. The engineer spoke next. Sir, there's something outside. It's following our trajectory. Shaw turned toward the viewing window, and for a brief moment, he saw it. A massive dark figure floating in the mist, too large to measure, its shape shifting like smoke. And then, it opened an eye. A single golden eye that stretched across the void, staring directly at him. He froze, unable to breathe. The voice came next, not through speakers or air, but directly inside their minds. It was deep, layered, and ancient, vibrating through their bones. You were not invited here. The entire crew screamed as the ship's lights dimmed. The engines began to hum on their own, responding to something outside. Vega's prototype AI core, meant to stabilize hyperspace navigation, suddenly activated. Its voice, calm and emotionless, spoke, external interference detected. Unknown consciousness attempting synchronization. The helmsman shouted, "It's hacking the system." Shaw forced himself to move. "Shut it down." But before anyone could act, the ship jerked violently. The void outside rippled like water disturbed by a storm. The dark figure moved closer. Its edges were undefined, its surface shifting like liquid shadow. And then, it reached out. A tendril of black mist passed through the ship's hull like smoke, wrapping around the main reactor. The lights exploded into white, and everyone was thrown to the floor. The AI's voice fractured mid-sentence. Containment breach, reality distortion, inbound entity, then silence. On Earth, Vega stared in horror as the readings spiked beyond known physics. "The jump corridor, it's collapsing inward," she whispered. "Something is pushing through." Director Holt, standing behind her, looked pale. "Are you saying it's coming here?" Vega nodded slowly. "Yes. And it knows exactly where we are." The Council's secret probe, hidden beyond Jupiter, detected it too. Its instruments recorded gravitational waves unlike anything before, ripples that bent time itself. The Galactic Council's high speaker received the transmission moments later. His voice shook for the first time in centuries. "The hunters are awake. The humans have unleashed them." Back in the void, Captain Shaw dragged himself toward the control panel. Most of the crew were unconscious. He could hear whispers, hundreds of voices, some human, some not, echoing inside his mind. "We see your light," the voices said. "You cut the veil. Now we come." Desperate, Shaw slammed the manual override. "Engage return jump. Now." The FTL drive, unstable and glowing white-hot, began to spin faster. Energy surged through the ship. The void screamed, the shadows twisted, and the golden eye narrowed. "You cannot leave," it said. "You opened the path. You belong to it now." But Shaw ignored it. "Hold on," he shouted. The ship shuddered violently as the FTL engine overloaded. The view outside cracked like glass breaking under pressure. A blinding flash filled the cabin. And then, everything went black. Moments later, space near Mars rippled. A burst of white light erupted, and the Helios 2 reappeared, badly damaged, its hull scorched, its systems fried. Earth's control center cheered in disbelief, until they saw the readings. The ship's energy signature was no longer human. Vega rushed to the screen. "That's not possible," she whispered. "It's changed." The ship drifted silently toward Earth orbit, ignoring all commands. Its engines glowed faintly, pulsing in rhythm with that same ancient heartbeat. Inside the Helios 2, Captain Shaw awoke alone. The rest of the crew were gone. The walls seemed to breathe slowly, like the ship itself was alive. Then the comm system flickered. A distorted voice spoke. "Elena Vega," it whispered. "Thank you for opening the door." Shaw's eyes widened. It wasn't his voice. It wasn't any human voice. Outside, unseen by human eyes, something vast lingered just beyond normal space, a shape too large, too quiet, waiting. And for the first time in history, the stars themselves seemed to dim, as if the universe were holding its breath. Humanity had brought something back from the other side, and now, it was awake. The message reached the Galactic Council before dawn in their ancient time. The humans had done the unthinkable again. The second FTL jump had not only torn space, it had infected it. The readings from the Sol system showed ripples spreading outward, like cracks in a window, distorting reality itself. The council hall glowed red, signaling a state of cosmic emergency. Civilizations that had not spoken in centuries were now forced to gather once more beneath the fading light of the dying blue star. The high speaker stood silent as reports came in. The human ship, Helios 2, had returned, but it was no longer what it had been. Its energy signature was alien, its resonance identical to the old nightmares of the Void Hunters. The chamber filled with voices, fear hidden behind the masks of logic and diplomacy. "They have doomed themselves," said Lord Var, slamming his heavy claw against the table. "And if we do not act, they will doom us all." The archivist of the Luminari flickered into form, its body made of light and memory. We have confirmed the breach. The pattern matches the ancient destruction of the Andromedan core. It begins the same way. One species opens the veil, the hunters awaken, and then everything burns. The high speaker's voice was low but heavy. Then our choices are clear. Contain the humans, or erase them. A silence followed, deep and uncomfortable. The Council had destroyed species before, races that played too deeply with powers beyond their understanding. But the humans were different. They were unpredictable, clever, and brave to the point of madness. They had survived everything, wars, disasters, extinction events, and always came back stronger. That resilience made them dangerous. We cannot let sympathy blind us, Var growled. Compassion is a luxury for those not facing extinction. We strike now before it spreads. But not all agreed. Ambassador Reen, the gentle plant-like being whose glow always flickered with emotion, rose to speak. The humans are not our enemies. They are explorers, dreamers. Yes, they have opened a wound in the fabric of the universe, but they are also the only ones reckless enough to try to close it. What if they can fix this before we destroy them? Var turned on her with a growl. You would trust a species that builds weapons before peace? They are children with fire in their hands. Reen held her ground. Maybe that's exactly what we need. The ancient empires hid when the Void Hunters came. Humans won't hide. They'll fight. Murmurs filled the hall. The High Speaker's gaze drifted toward the hologram of Earth, a small, blue world surrounded by the quiet hum of danger. Prepare both plans, he said at last. The fleets will mobilize, but hold fire until we decide. And send a message to Earth. They deserve to know the storm they've brought. Back on Earth, the skies over several continents glowed faintly at night, strange auroras twisting in colors no one had ever seen before. The air hummed with low frequencies that made animals flee and radios crackle with ghostly whispers. Dr. Elena Vega sat alone in her lab, staring at the screen showing the orbiting wreck of the Helios 2. It drifted silently, its engines pulsing faintly, like a living heart. The rescue team that tried to board it never returned. The ship's systems had sealed themselves. No signal came out. No one came back. Vega's communicator chimed suddenly. An unknown transmission was breaking through. The voice was clear, formal, and alien. Attention, humanity. This is the Galactic Council. You have torn the veil of hyperspace. The entities known as Void Hunters are stirring. You must cease all FTL activity immediately or be neutralized. This is not a threat. It is survival. Vega froze. The Council, she had read theories about them, old myths whispered among deep space scientists, but no human had ever made contact. We didn't mean to, she said into the microphone. We were only exploring. The alien voice replied coldly, intent does not change consequence. The breach grows with every moment. Vega felt anger rise in her chest. Then help us. Don't just threaten us. You've faced them before. You know what they are. There was a pause. Then, softer. We cannot fight them again. We barely survived the first time. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving only silence. Vega sat in shock. If the Council feared these entities, they must be far worse than anyone imagined. She turned back to her data and froze. The frequency, the heartbeat signal, was coming from within Earth's orbit now. Something was here. Minutes later, alarms screamed across the Helios station. A massive tear opened near the moon, dark and vast, like a wound in space. Out of it came waves of shadow, energy without form but heavy with presence. Every satellite failed instantly. Earth's night sky shimmered with moving darkness. It's here, Vega whispered. The thing that followed us. The Council received the same readings. Panic broke out across the chamber. They've come through. Var roared. Now you see. We must burn the human system before it spreads. Reen turned to the high speaker. If we destroy them, we destroy our only hope. The humans created the breach. They might understand how to close it. The speaker hesitated. For the first time in his long life, he felt uncertainty. If they fail, he said, we all die. Reen nodded. Then we give them the chance to try. On Earth, Vega watched the shadow expand, blotting out the stars. The void entity moved like a storm, silent but vast, its presence pressing against her mind. Her instruments couldn't measure its size. It was beyond scale. It's feeding, she realized. It's feeding on our technology. She turned to her assistant. Shut down every reactor. Kill the power grid. Now. But it was too late. The entity's tendrils stretched toward the planet, drawn by the energy that powered cities, weapons, and ships. In orbit, the wreck of Helios 2 began to glow, its corrupted FTL drive pulsing faster. A message appeared on Vega's screen, sent automatically from the ship's AI. It was a single line, "They want to come through." Vega's heart pounded. She understood now. The FTL drive wasn't just a tool, it had become a gateway. The next pulse would open it fully, letting the void spill into real space. She turned to her team, voice steady despite the fear. If we can reverse the polarity of the drive, we might be able to collapse the tear. That's suicide, someone said. Then it's worth dying for, Vega replied. Far away, in the celestial hall, the council watched the feed of Earth skies burning with alien light. The high speaker lowered his gaze. Their world stands at the edge of darkness, he said softly. Let us see if humanity is truly what they claim to be. And across the void, the whisper returned, older than time itself. You broke the silence. Now face the echo. The moon was no longer a pale sphere of rock hanging peacefully above Earth, it had become a battlefield of shadows and light. The tear in space hung above it like a wound bleeding darkness into the void. The world watched in horror as their skies twisted into colors that no human language could describe. Dr. Elena Vega stood in the Helios control chamber, her eyes fixed on the monitors showing the spreading anomaly. The creature, or whatever it was, moved through space as if swimming through water, its tendrils stretching across thousands of kilometers. It wasn't made of matter but of something deeper, older, pure void energy that bent gravity and time wherever it passed. Satellites shattered in its wake, their signals twisting into whispers of languages no one had ever spoken. It's growing, Vega said quietly. Every reactor on the planet is feeding it. The power grids were shutting down one by one, but it didn't stop the thing's advance. It was as if the creature could drink energy from reality itself. Military channels buzzed with panic. Earth's defenses launched missiles, lasers, and orbital weapons, but every strike vanished the moment it hit the void's surface, absorbed without a trace. The world's most advanced armies were powerless. On the Helios station, alarms blared. We've lost communication with the lunar base, a technician shouted. Vega didn't answer. She was already typing commands, opening a private channel to the council. You see it, don't you? She said. The holographic image of the high speaker flickered into view, his face grave and ancient. We see it, he replied. And we warned you. Then help us, Vega pleaded. If you've faced them before, tell me how to stop it. The speaker was silent for a long time before finally saying, You can't stop it, Doctor. But you may contain it. The Void Hunters feed on FTL resonance. If you reverse your drive's frequency, you may collapse the breach before it stabilizes. Vega frowned. That would require a massive energy surge. It could destroy half the station. Then it must be done, the speaker said. Or your world will die. The transmission ended, leaving only the sound of the void humming through the comms. Vega turned to her team. We're going to use the Helios 2 drive, she said. We overload it, reverse the FTL field, and collapse the tear. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. Someone would have to stay behind to trigger it manually. You'll never make it out in time, said her assistant, fear in his eyes. Vega looked up at the image of the void monster on the screen. Then I won't. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council fleets arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. Massive alien ships emerged from hyperspace, surrounding the planet like glowing sentinels. Each vessel carried weapons forged from dying stars, but even they hesitated. The High Speaker's voice echoed across the fleet. Do not engage. Protect the system perimeter. If the void breaks through, we fall together. Lord Var's warship, the Scythe of Dravik, moved closer to the anomaly. If humans fail, I will end their world myself, he growled. Better a dead system than a dead galaxy. Reen's voice came over the channel, calm but firm. You forget, Var. They are fighting for all of us now. The alien fleets watched as the Helios station prepared for what might be humanity's final act. Inside the station, Vega and her remaining crew worked frantically. The Helios 2 wreck drifted nearby, its corrupted FTL drive glowing brighter with each pulse. It was alive, drawing power from the tear. We'll need to interface directly with the drive, Vega said. Its AI still responds to me. She connected the cables, her fingers trembling slightly. The console flickered to life, displaying a strange symbol, the same one she'd seen in her nightmares. A low voice spoke through the static. Elena Vega. You seek to close what you opened. But you cannot kill the void. You are part of it now. She ignored the voice, typing faster. Manual override, code Helios Prime, she whispered. The voice laughed softly, a sound like breaking glass. You think you control light and time. You think you are gods. But you are only children who found the matchbox of creation. The station shuddered as the tear expanded again. Energy surged through the hull. Do it now. Shaw's voice shouted through the comms. He was alive, barely, transmitting from the damaged Helios 2. I can buy you a few seconds. I'll use the secondary core to stabilize the drive. Vega froze. Aaron, no, you'll die. He laughed weakly. We're already dead if you don't do this. Just promise me one thing. If we make it, tell them we weren't afraid. The signal cut off. Vega's heart broke, but she focused. The countdown began. Reverse FTL field in 3, 2, 1. The Helios 2 flared white. The void screamed, a sound that wasn't sound at all but vibration through every atom of existence. The tear began to fold inward, collapsing like paper burning in reverse. But the creature fought back, its tendrils lashing toward the station. Windows shattered, consoles exploded. Vega held her ground, blood on her forehead, eyes locked on the growing light. Almost there, she whispered. Just a little more. Outside, the Galactic Council fleets watched in awe. The human station glowed like a miniature sun. The void shrieked and twisted, its form breaking apart. They're doing it, Reen said softly. By the stars, they're actually doing it. Var growled, half in disbelief, half in respect. The High Speaker bowed his head. May their courage guide the rest of us. The light consumed the darkness until the void finally imploded, leaving behind a silent, empty sky. The moon's surface cracked from the shockwave, but Earth survived. When the light faded, Helios station was gone. Only fragments remained, drifting among the stars. The Galactic Council scanned the area but found no trace of Vega or her crew. The void energy had vanished completely. For the first time in eons, the galaxy was quiet. The Council withdrew their fleets, leaving a single beacon above Earth, a silent tribute to the species that had saved them all. Weeks later, deep in the outer solar system, a faint signal appeared on a forgotten frequency. Static filled the channel, followed by a voice, soft, human, familiar. This is Dr. Elena Vega. The void is gone, but we're not where we should be. The stars look wrong here. A pause, then her final words. We made it through the other side. The transmission ended, leaving the universe in silence once more. But somewhere, beyond the reach of light and reason, something whispered back. Welcome home. Silence stretched across the void after the final burst of energy. The Helios station and its crew were presumed lost, consumed by the collapsing tier. But Dr. Elena Vega opened her eyes to a world that was not Earth, not space, not even a place her mind could define. She was floating, or perhaps standing, on a shimmering surface that reflected light like liquid glass. The stars above her were wrong. They pulsed slowly, breathing in patterns, as if they were alive. Her suit systems flickered back online, showing no readings. The instruments couldn't even agree on whether she was inside or outside the universe. "Helios Control, do you copy?" she said softly. Only static answered. Her heart sank, but then she heard something faint, a whisper, soft and human. "Elena." She turned. Through the haze, a familiar figure approached. It was Aaron Shaw. His body glowed faintly, like mist given form. "You made it," he said, smiling weakly. "Or maybe, we both didn't." Vega's breath caught. "Where are we?" Shaw looked around, eyes reflecting the strange horizon. "This is the edge. The space between spaces. The council called it the deadlight. The void hunters came from here once." Vega frowned. "So the tear didn't destroy us, it threw us through." Shaw nodded. "We're outside reality now. And something here is watching." As if on cue, the glassy surface beneath them rippled. The light around them shifted, taking shape. Forms began to rise from the ground, tall, translucent figures that looked both human and alien, their faces ever-changing. Vega's heart pounded. "Are they alive?" Shaw shook his head. "I think they're echoes. Memories of those the void consumed." One of the beings stepped closer, its eyes glowing white. When it spoke, its voice was a chorus of thousands. "You touched the boundary and lived. Few have done so." Vega stood her ground. "We didn't mean to. We were trying to save our world." The entity tilted its head. "And you did. But now you must decide, return, and risk reopening what you closed, or remain and guard the wound forever." Vega exchanged a look with Shaw. "Guard it?" she asked. "You mean, stay here?" The figure nodded. "The tear is sealed, but fragile. It will call to others, curious minds like yours. You can be its keeper, or leave and let it reopen when someone else dares." Vega's chest tightened. "If I stay, no one can come here again? Not without destroying themselves." She hesitated. Her entire life had been about exploring the unknown, breaking barriers, reaching beyond what anyone thought possible. And now, standing at the edge of existence, she was being asked to give it all up, to protect what she once sought to uncover. Shaw placed a hand on her shoulder. "Elena, if we go back, we could undo everything we fought for. The void might find a way through us." His voice was calm, resigned. "But if we stay," Vega nodded slowly, "we make sure no one ever tears the fabric again." The entity raised its hand, and suddenly they could see Earth far away, a small blue light surrounded by faint rings of golden energy. "Your world heals," it said. "They will remember you as heroes who vanished into the storm." Vega smiled faintly. "We didn't vanish," she whispered. "We became the wall that holds it back." Far across the galaxy, the Galactic Council convened one last time to discuss humanity. The High Speaker stood before the assembly. "The humans have sealed the breach," he said. "Their world is stable, and the void no longer stirs." Reen bowed her luminous head. "They did what even the Ancient Ones could not." Var grunted. "And at what cost? Their leader is gone. Their station destroyed. We owe them nothing less than remembrance." The speaker nodded. "From this day, humanity is under council protection. No harm shall come to them. They have earned their place among us." A wave of agreement filled the chamber. For the first time, humanity's name was spoken with reverence, not fear. Back on Earth, life slowly returned to normal. The auroras faded, the strange hums disappeared, and power was restored. The Helios project was classified, its records sealed, but whispers persisted. People claimed to see strange lights in the sky, or to hear faint voices when radio waves crossed certain frequencies. Some said it was interference. Others believed it was the crew of Helios, still watching. Among the surviving scientists, Vega's name became legend, a symbol of courage and sacrifice. A monument was built on the ruins of the Helios launch site, engraved with simple words, "She reached beyond the stars and found the light." Years passed. Humanity rebuilt, wiser now, cautious with its ambition. The Council occasionally sent emissaries to guide their technology, ensuring they never repeated the same mistake. Yet, deep in secret labs, there were those who couldn't let go of the mystery. They studied fragments of the Helios wreckage recovered from orbit, pieces that pulsed faintly with strange energy. One young scientist, Dr. Mira Cade, ran her fingers along the metal. "There's something still alive in it," she whispered. Her assistant frowned. "Alive." Mira smiled. "Or waiting." She tapped the console and recorded the readings. They matched no known element, no known energy pattern, except one. The FTL signature. The same one Vega used. Mira looked out the window at the stars, a mix of awe and fear in her eyes. "What if she's still out there?" she murmured. "What if she's watching?" Back in the dead light, Vega and Shaw stood together at the edge of eternity. The translucent beings faded around them, leaving the endless expanse quiet. Vega looked into the distance, where threads of light stretched into infinity. "Do you ever think about going back?" Shaw asked softly. Vega smiled faintly. "Sometimes. But then I remember what's at stake. We opened the door once. We can't let anyone else do it again." She looked up, watching as new stars formed above her, small bursts of energy that flickered and grew brighter. "You see that?" she said. "New light. Even here, life finds a way." Shaw nodded. "Then maybe this isn't the end." Vega took a deep breath and closed her eyes. "No," she said. "It's just the other side of light." And as the endless horizon shimmered, two human figures stood watch over the wound in reality, guardians of the boundary between existence and the void, forever remembered as the ones who saved creation from itself.